Alright, welcome back to Plastic Models by a Regular Dude and the Hobby Boss 1/48 scale M4A3. I left off working on the upper hull, and it is now complete. All the parts have been installed, including the photo etch. Now I have to say that this photo etch was very easy to work with. Sometimes it just seems like I really struggle with photo etch, but even though this is really small, it was some pretty good quality stuff, and I was able to get it all bent up and put in shape with very little hassle. So all the parts are on, all the tools and all that kind of stuff. So that ends with mounting the upper hull to the lower hull and the suspension, but as usual, and as I mentioned before, I will not be installing the suspension yet until after I get it painted and get the lower part weathered. Okay, so there's that. So all I have to do is glue that in place and the bolt strip. So I will do that. Then I will get cracking on the turret. Alright, so I've opted to go with the second turret option. I'm not doing the split loader's hatch. I'm going to go ahead and do the oval loader's hatch. At first I was going to do the other one. I didn't like the seam here, but I plan on using, for the first time, trying some Mr. Surfacer on here to create some more texture on the turret. So I figured this would be a good opportunity to do that. So I will put this together as good as I can, sand down the offending seams and such, and then put some Mr. Surfacer on here and see what I can do about enhancing the surface texture. So first things first, I'm going to get all the parts cut out and cleaned up and ready to install. Alright, I've got the most of the parts for the turret cut up and ready to go. The barrel, as I said, had a bit of a seam, but I was able to get it sanded smooth without much difficulty, and was able to maintain the roundness of it, but not bad, so it's good to go. The turret fits together okay, but it's got quite a bit of cleanup to do here. As you can see, this part sticks out a little bit here and here quite a bit. There's a gap there, back, that seam, mold seam right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start sanding and filing all of that off, and then once I get that done, I'm going to use some goop here, which is sprue dissolved in a little bit of Tamiya extra thin, and I'm going to use that to smooth all this stuff out, to fill in anything that needs to be filled in, and then sand it again, sand it and file it again, and then I will use the Mr. Surfacer to work on the texture on the mantlet and on the turret itself. So that is the plan. And while that stuff is drying, I'm going to put together the machine gun. I'll put together these two parts of the hatch there and just get some of that stuff ready to go. Alright, so I'm going to work on that a little bit and come back. Alright, so got all the extra parts glued onto the turret, and then in order to get a little bit of extra texture, I got the Mr. Surfacer 500, a new item I just purchased last week, and got some texture going on the turret. And as you can see here, hopefully, sorry guys, it looks pretty good. I'll be able to tell better once I get the primer on it, but it looks pretty good. I like it. First time I've used it, so you know, it looks a lot better than it did as far as texture goes. So I'm going to glue the rest of the small parts on the turret, and by that time I should be able to start thinking about throwing down with some primer. So let me get these parts glued on here and we'll come back. Alright, so as you can see, I have completed construction on the Hobby Boss M4A3. I glued the rest of the parts on the turret. I went ahead, normally I don't do this, but I went ahead and glued the bogies on, and the drive sprockets and the idlers. I went ahead and glued it all. I'm just going to prime and paint the whole shoot and match at once, and I'll just you know, be careful getting my dirt and grime on the inside of the deal there. Also on the tracks, now I know I've remarked that someone had said that the tracks could not be glued with regular hobby cement, like, to me, extra thin, and he was indeed correct. These are really vinyl tracks. They're not the flexible styrene. So I used super glue and it worked fine. I'm going to put a little bit more in this the upper joint here. This one here went together okay. No problems. It'll be up underneath the sponsons, so it'll be fine. So I'll prime those, prime this, and start working on the paint. So since I'm at the finishing aspect of it, I'm going to end this video here and continue on in the next video. So as always, thanks for joining me on Plastic Models by a Regular Dude, and stay tuned for the rest of the Hobby Boss M4A3. Any questions, comments, suggestions, anything down below as per usual, and I will see you all later.